Hey everybody, it's Paul at CDA. We're going to go ahead and jump into labor setup. So in order to get to labor setup, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the utilities menu. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to labor setup. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this over here. And then on the right hand side, I'm going to go ahead and show you an image that's a mirror of this, but I've broken it down into color coding so that we can follow it a little easier. And so what I'd like to do to get started with labor setup, I just want to show you real quick that if you ever want to search for something, you can just search for it by doing a live search. So we'll just type in major, and what it's doing, it's using the description, and it's finding anything that has to do with major. And then we're showing you that, yes, indeed, we do have some line items that have major in it. So this is a live search, and that is how it performs. So I did want to show you that. And now what I'd like to do is kind of get into the philosophy of why we have labor set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scroll down, and most of what you're seeing here, I'm just going to stay in this major area. It has to do with the pricing for COD work. Generally with COD work, unlike third party, even depot, and manufacturer work, where these tend to be fixed prices, COD prices where they are fixed, but you're not under contract on how to do a repair for a microwave. So you certainly have more flexibility with your pricing with your customers when they're a COD microwave versus if you're doing a microwave repair and it's a manufacturer, or it's even depot, or if it's third party, because you are under contract on what your pricing structure is for labor. And so what you do generally is in labor setup, you'll set up all the different variables that you can have for COD pricing. And then what that allows you to do is whether you're in the shop or you have your mobile technicians, they'll all have access to this full list that's in labor setup. Your technicians will have access to it so that if they're going to perform something extra or something new, they will go ahead and just pick it from the drop-down menu on the mobile device. And so this is what most people use labor setup for. A lot of it has to do with COD work, but an area where it will help you quite a bit has to do with rate sheets. So now let's go ahead and talk about that. So again, over on the right hand side, we have all third parties color coded. We have COD color coded. We have depot work, HVAC, and then we have manufacturers. So let's go ahead and look at third party. Now the reason why we have this categorized is because this really has to do with your rate sheet. Now Asurion, you'll have a rate sheet for as a third party. If it's Warrantech, you're definitely going to have a rate sheet. Lowe's, yes, you're under contract for repairs, but you still have a rate sheet. Let's go down the manufacturer because it'll be the easiest to follow. You do LG warranty work, but they still have a rate sheet that's different for each company that provides warranty work for LG. And that same logic would apply to Samsung as well. Yes, you do Samsung work under contract, but you still have a rate sheet. Now, generally speaking, for most companies, that rate sheet is a shared Excel file or even a Google Docs. Now, what CDA allows you to do is you can put your rate sheet pricing in labor setup so that when you go build a job or when you're in the processing department, everybody selects the same price and they don't go and copy and paste the price from an Excel spreadsheet. And so what you're seeing is if it's a two-man job for Asurion, everyone from the drop-down menu, which I'll show you in a moment in the totals tab, will grab the same pricing. So that same pricing would be for Asurion, that same pricing would be for LG or Samsung, and even depot work. So even depot work, generally speaking, is under contract. They'll still have a pricing sheet where maybe you have a two-man diag or you have a two-man rebuild where you can do extra line item pricing. And so again, that would have to do with fixed rate, and that's how you would select it. And so that's why over here I am showing you the different color coding, because I really want you to see this as classifying your rate sheets. So now that I've explained that, what I'd like to do is I'm going to go ahead and go into the totals tab and show you how this all ties together. So I'm just going to close this window. And right now you see I'm on the main tab. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull over to the right and I'm going to click on the totals tab. So here we are, we're in the Totals tab, and what we're going to do is we're just going to concentrate on itemized labor charges, and then we're just going to concentrate on itemized other charges. So again, we were just in the menu, which was labor setup, and we set our rate sheet pricing, and we also set all of our COD pricing. And now what we want to do is show you a demo of how that ties together. So your billing department or processing department would say add. And now what they noticed was, hey, this is a sealed system. Now again, instead of going to an Excel spreadsheet, all they're going to do is they're going to just come up here and they're going to go, oh, okay, I was working on a Lowe's job. It was a sealed system. And then they're going to say, there's the code, there's the amount, that's the coverage. And then they'll make the determination, is this for commission? The tech was Dan, and they'll say yes. For this particular example, we'll go ahead and include commission. So they're just going to say save. Now let's go ahead. This is a demo. We'll just imagine we have another item for labor charges. We're just going to say add. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click here. It's going to do the flyout. And this time, let's just say it's a Samsung, but we know that it was a two-man labor, or our notes showed that we could charge more for a particular job we did, and they just said, hey, just add it as two-man labor. So we're just going to double click. Again, we're going to have the code, the description, the amount, and in this case, we'll go ahead and turn off commission. We'll say that the tech does not get commission, and we'll say add. So I'm just going to do that one more time, just kind of get the idea. I'm going to say add. I'm going to move over here. I'm going to say, what do I want to pick from? And this time we'll go ahead and we'll say this is depot work. Again, most of the time depot work is fixed pricing, but in this case we had to do a depot job that was a two-man rebuild, and they're allowing us on our rate sheet to charge extra. So we're going to go ahead and say okay. We'll turn on commission this time and we'll say okay. Now again, I just want to remind you, I'm going to go ahead and go to labor setup, that each one of these items that you see are always going to be available to your mobile technicians as well. So they will have the ability to select from this list. So now we just did itemized labor charges, and now what I want to do is show you the itemized other charges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click add, and the first thing I want to show you is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are 6 fixed. These are hard-coded into this system. So what you can do is you can charge extra for diagnosis, delivery, travel, mileage, shipping, special handling. A very popular one is mileage, and we'll say, hey, we're going to charge $35 for this job for extra mileage. There's no markup or discount, and that's because we traveled an extra 200 miles and we were approved for that mileage. And again, we're going to answer the question, do we give a commission or not? We're going to go ahead and say yes. Let's go ahead and add another one. And this time we're going to grab from one of the hard-coded, and that has to do with, let's just say, travel. Again, being in dense areas, let's just say you were given an extra $60 to travel outside. They weren't going to give you any mileage. They were just going to let you charge a flat rate of 60 miles. Again, we'll say no commission, and we'll say okay. Now, let's just say you happen to do depot work and you create special crates for your customer. Now again, special crates could be special handling, but what you can do, and what I want to show you, is each time I was pulling this up, it was blank. That means you can go ahead and create your own description. So in here, we're going to say, hey, for depot, we'll just leave it as warranty. I went ahead and I know that when I do a special crate, I actually get to charge $400. And that's because it's in my fixed rate and we've agreed upon this pricing and there is no commission for the tech. And so I'm going to go ahead and say, okay. And so let's just go through that one more time. So we showed you that there's 6 fixed rates, but you can also add custom. So to do your own, you can just leave it blank and say demo pricing. And demo pricing is going to be $99.99. And we'll go ahead and give the tech commission. So it's calculated. And all we do, and there's also, you can tax other charges if you want to. And all we'll do is say, okay. So again, that was from the blank one. I manually typed it in, and now I'm going to go ahead and say, okay. And there it is, demo pricing, and it was added to the total. So that will complete our demo for how to utilize labor setup.